Let's see, we'll pause. Okay, nobody's here, but I thought I would record a message anyway and post it and see if anybody watched it. So let's look at the schedule. So let's see if I can share a screen here. Hoping you guys see the Biology 145 schedule of topics and textbook readings. Okay, that's starting in August. We're all the way through past week. Let's see if we can go down here. Where's my thing? We're past week. We're into week 15, 16, Human Impacts, chapter 24. We finished with 4 exams. Our final exam is next week. It'll open on December 9th and close on the 10th. And so we're almost to the end here. The final exam will be about half on the last 4 chapters, 22, 23, and 24, and about half a review of the other things that we've gone over. And so we've tried to go over science associated with people. So we started talking a little bit about humans and science. We talked about a lot about how the human body works, from the smallest parts to whole organs and organ systems, and how these things were related to one another, how the body maintains an internal environment, homeostasis, and our major control systems. We talked about some major impacts on health, things like cardiovascular health, a little bit about cancer, a little bit about hypertension and diabetes and things like that. Then after that, we transition to talk about kind of human legacies, the reproductive system, genetic inheritance, and DNA technologies, improvement in those areas and what those mean. And lastly, we've been talking about more larger scale issues related to humans and our human environment, things like the human population, how populations change over time, how the environment impacts us through communities and ecosystems. And now we're talking about our impact on those communities and ecosystems with human impacts. And so chapter 24 deals with a lot of kind of negative stuff. It's talking about climate change, the biodiversity crisis, pollution, urbanization, groundwater, all sorts of things like that. To me, the most important of these is climate change. And the reason that's most important is because that's going to affect the whole Earth. And it affects, that we can't really isolate to one region or another, because gases travel in the atmosphere, and something that happens in China or India or the USA affects everybody. And so those are important things to do, and really it helps us get back to kind of our major thing about science. So let's share again. Let's see if we can go here. This is the PowerPoint I used on the climate change lecture, and I really want to kind of here talk about what's important in this class. One of the most important things is that science is evidence-based. We ask questions and we look for answers, and the ones that we think are best is the ones that have the most evidence, the greatest types of evidence, the multiple types of evidence, the strongest evidence. And you don't always hear in the general media or in public discussions is really what is the evidence and for this or for that. But it's in science, it's all about evidence. And so scientists are very convinced on climate change because there are multiple lines of evidence, and all the evidence points in the same direction, that climate, not weather, climate is changing. Okay, that the climate is getting warmer, not just in one part of the earth, but all over. In some places faster, in some places slower, but we've pretty much rejected the idea that it's staying the same or getting colder. Whether we're looking at Antarctica or the polar Arctic, we find the same evidence. Less ice, more water, all sorts of evidence of this. And so it's not just things like, are we having a cold winter or a warm winter? Is this a hot day? We're talking about averaging the whole thing out, looking everywhere, looking for the best types of evidence. And really, there is no evidence that strongly negates climate change. None. It's all pointing in the same direction. Melting land-based glaciers, melting ice caps, changes in ocean temperature, changes in lake temperatures, changes in soil temperature, changes in weather. These all point to the same direction. Climate is warming. It's due to the production of gases that are released by humans, primarily carbon dioxide, but other gases as well, methane, nitrous, various oxygenated forms of nitrogen. These things all provide really, really strong evidence, and the evidence is very strong. And then I talked about there's some nice parts of your book because they talk about other big climate problems that we've solved. These include things like the destruction of the ozone layer. We're making progress on that. We've made dramatic progress. Stopping acid rain. We've made big progress on that. We haven't made big progress on climate change, partly because it's a little bit bigger problem. It's more inconvenient to solve it. And the industry that is most affected by the solutions has a lot of money to stall that solution. It's really important, though, to recognize it's a problem, and we're not going to solve it until we get over denying it, until we get over despair and fretting about the cost. And so that's really important to recognize. We have to start working on it. It's going to take some time to fix. The solutions, contrary to what people say, won't destroy our economy. It'll change our economy. It won't destroy it. There will be more jobs. There will be better jobs. That's important to recognize. Now, there may be fewer jobs in the oil industry, fewer jobs in the coal industry, but other places will pick up. Okay, that's really important. When we talk about any kind of problems, it's important to identify the source of the problem. And clearly it's greenhouse gases. And here I've got three kind of diagrams here. One shows the greenhouse gas emissions, carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, and various other gases. But clearly carbon dioxide is the most important one and the dominant one. Sources of carbon dioxide emission in the United States are listed there. Production of electricity, transportation, industry, residential and commercial heating, others. Okay, and then there's shares of different countries, and so we can be a big part of the solution. We need everybody else to come along, and that means working together. And so, how do we reduce carbon dioxide production? Well, we burn less fossil fuels, and we burn less of the worst fossil fuels, which are coal. Fortunately, things work really well here. Coal is the most expensive fossil fuel to produce. It's the most polluting. It's the most expensive to handle. You can't put it in a pipeline. It doesn't shine on your home or blow in the wind. And so we can have a really big impact by getting rid of the most expensive fossil fuel. And that's one of the things that's been happening, is that coal just cannot compete with methane gas. It can't compete with solar or wind. Those things are all cheaper. In fact, those things are so much cheaper that nuclear energy is having problems competing. This is really important to know. And so we can reduce CO2 emissions by choosing the energy sources that are most efficient. Okay, and we can also choose more efficient types of appliances, more efficient types of cars. And I talk about this, that silver car there, that's my car. Okay, that's my hybrid Honda Civic. It's a 2003. It's 17 years old. Okay, I actually traded it in. It's gone. Okay, but it was. I mentioned when I bought it, I thought, "Oh, this is kind of risky. I don't know how this is going to turn out." It turned out really well. I saved tons of money. Um, I was getting 50 miles per gallon for that car. Okay, the regular version of the Honda Civic got about 30 miles a gallon. I purchased about half of the fuel that a regular Honda Civic driver had to purchase. Okay, not only that, because it was so efficient, because the engine had to run less hard, because I had to, the brakes generated electricity instead of braking. I never wound up repairing brakes, exhaust system. There were lots of things I didn't have to do. It was a very, very efficient car. Okay. On the other side there, that plug-in car, that's a Ford Focus Electric. I don't have that one. Mine is black. Um, that too is a really cheap car to run, and it costs more to buy, but I don't go to the gas station. I just plug it in at home. And whereas my Honda Civic Hybrid was getting 50 miles per gallon, so I'd buy a gallon of gas for like $2.50. I'm plugging this in and paying kilowatts. And this goes 100 miles in about 5 kilowatts. A kilowatt costs me 12 cents. So this goes 100 miles and it costs me 5 times 12, 60 cents. Man, that's cheaper than the other car. Okay. And again, there's nothing to go wrong here. No exhaust system. The brakes are electric. I don't do oil changes because I'm not burning anything. It's cheaper to run. Okay. And this isn't the only kind of thing where this happens. If you look at, oopsie, hold on here, I screwed up. Let's go down. Nope, shoot, screwed up again. Nope. Let's try again. Okay. So if you look at lighting, incandescent light bulbs, okay, that's the type of light bulb I grew up with. They get really hot. If you touch them right after you turn them off, you'll burn your hands. Those bulbs are cheap. It's glass with a little tungsten wire in it. They cost $1.25. Okay, and so 60-watt bulb, 100-watt bulb, it only cost me $1.50 to replace it. But those bulbs burn out pretty much yearly. Okay, I used to keep a supply of those bulbs in the house because they were constantly burning out. So I've replaced them all with LED light bulbs. Okay, and I did this 7, 8 years ago. Those LED light bulbs probably cost me on average $5 a bulb. Okay. However, they use about 90% less power. That's good. And not only that, those bulbs never get hot, and because they don't get hot, they don't burn out. I haven't replaced a bulb in 2 years, 3 years, maybe 4. Okay, they just don't burn out. They last much, much longer. Okay, and so the initial cost was more, but I'm saving a fortune on energy and replacements. Okay, and it's like this for everything. Technology is improving, and so if we move this way, we will solve this problem. We can move to solar panels. We can move to to wind. We can move to methane gas for electricity production. We'll save a fortune. And these things are better. They require less maintenance. They work better. They produce more light. And so you have to kind of be skeptical when people tell you it'll destroy the economy and ruin the American way of life. If you're, if you're a rich oil guy, that might be true. But for most of us, this will be better. It will be much better. You'll keep your money. The Highland solar panels, okay, they've only been in 2 years. Okay, but in that 2 years, they've saved about $25,000 in energy use. Okay, they cost us $200,000 to put in, but we got a rebate for about $100,000, and in 2 years they've produced more than 10% of their cost in energy, and they're going to last 25 years. we'll save money. That's money that every student will save, that will cost their college education will cost less because we put in solar panels. Okay. All right. So next week we will have our final exam. It'll open on Wednesday, close on, or open on the 9th, close on the 10th. I think that's Wednesday. It's finals week, but I'll also have a review materials that I'll post next week, and I will also hold the Zoom review for anyone that's interested. People I know people are busy and getting other stuff in, but if you're interested, I'll hold it, and I will also post the recording online. So get ready, study hard, exam next week. Oh, quizzes are open, so we can, if you've missed a quiz or didn't score a 10 on a quiz, you can go back and retake those quizzes and get more points. So it's a good way to study for the final exam as well. Okay, talk to you later.